Alrighty, we're gonna take a look at some videos here of people who are supposedly helping. We shall see. I'm gonna take a quick gander here at my other channel. Where's my channel? Yeah, let's go there. Turn that off. Take a quick look over here, maybe. I don't have enough screens. Alrighty, let's take a look at this.
Many people with autism are dependent upon the social care workforce for the support to live a fulfilling life.
I'm still here.
But they have a wide range of needs. So what are the key issues to consider when working with people with autism? This film follows two professionals. Dominic Cole is a care worker at St Mark's Day Services in North London. And Oxfordshire social worker Emma Boswell works with teenagers in transition to adult services.
Just dying to
Emma
see
is
how
on a
ableist
statutory
this
visit
gets.
to see 17-year-old Dan, who has severe learning disabilities.
You feel better now?
Dan is living at the Squirrels residential home, and Emma has come to monitor his progress.
You're going to show me what you do? I think you like the activity board.
We want to be seeing that he's well stimulated. We want to see that he's happy. We want to make sure that he's healthy. We want to make sure he's being better challenged and prepared for adulthood.
It's been a while since I've seen you.
It's about being aware of when they get anxious. I do keep eye contact with him, but if I think he's finding it a little stressful, then I'll leave.
Dan has been
Jeremy,
here
he's
for
looking really
almost
well
a
at the
year,
moment.
and in that time, his communication skills have improved.
So why does she want to keep eye contact with him? That doesn't make sense. I mean, I don't know. That was just a weird thing to say. I wouldn't say that in a normal conversation. I kept eye contact with him.
Usually you would have to guess if he was in pain, you'd have to guess if he was unwell, and the way you would guess what was going on with Daniel was through his behaviours.
How are you feeling today? Can you show me?
So what this placement has been able to do is
We're already using these behaviors terms.
be able to use pictures and ways that he's understand. So now he's actually managed to communicate through symbols of what he's wanted.
Show me, please. I understand you're good. You're happy.
Well done.
Oh, you're happy. That's good. Today is a good day. You know, I can have this exactly the same approach or slightly adapt it, and he won't want anything to do with me.
So if he's able to point out pictures on cards, then he should be able to use one of those, I don't know what you call them, the speak and spells, the tablet type things that are some autistic people use for communication.
You know, it's totally on his terms.
I mean, that doesn't mean he has access to that or anything else, but
So I'm guided by the staff and I'm guided by how Dan is on the day.
Can I come up as well? Okay, let's go and have a cup of tea then.
At St Mark's, Dominic works one-to-one with autistic adults who have challenging behaviours and complex learning needs. Today, he's working with Michael, developing his communication skills.
First of all, should we get a cup of tea first?
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to help me make it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay then, let's make a cup
I'm
of tea.
trying that again. What would we have?
We don't normally go straight into a session. We normally give like 5 minutes just for them to become accustomed to the new environment, to settle in and to feel at ease. Just to have like 5 minutes relaxation in
a whole 5 minutes.
between each new environment.
It takes me about 5 years to get used to a new home. That's the place I live, but they're giving them 5 minutes. Okay, I got it. 5 minutes.
Really help reduce anxiety.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Excellent, well done. We'll just
You
wait
alright?
for... Yeah, I'm very good.
Play football with you later?
Oh, what do
I mean, at least he's thinking of that.
you have to be? You have to be very
Calm.
calm. But when we have our cup of tea, after our tea, we're going to go and do plan of the day. Yeah, look in your folder. Okay? But we're going to have tea first.
3 hours.
Dominic's first priority is giving Michael a structure to his day.
That space was killing me. Oh my god. Ugh, having somebody in my face like that? Holy shit. Be like, dude, gotta step back. I'm sorry.
So today is Tuesday. And where are you? We're at the...
Quality time.
We're having quality time now, but where are we? We're at the...
Day center.
And what do you do in quality time?
Me and the team.
Tea. And who did you make tea for?
Me.
And...
Dominic.
And me. Thank you very much for doing that. After our tea, do you know what we're going to do?
Free dance again.
Free dance. So we call it dance and...
Movement.
Movement. Excellent. Do you want to find... I think structure is very important for people with autism because predictability can actually make someone feel safer and secure. And if they're not sure what the future holds, sometimes anxieties can arise.
It's not about... No, he's got that wrong. It's not... No. Okay.
What the future holds, sometimes anxieties can... predictability can actually make someone feel safer and secure.
It's not about safety and security. It's not about that. It's about not having a chaotic environment. If my environment is changed, then I can't think properly. But it's not about feeling safe as if something's going to happen, or secure as in like somebody's going to get me, or I am not in a safe situation. That's not the case at all. It's anxiety. I mean, once again, he's trying, he's getting close, but why don't you talk to an autistic person? Come on.
Secure, and if they're not sure what the future holds, sometimes anxieties can arise. This for Friday, so we'll put it on Tuesday. Straight from the beginning of the day, students will come in and they'll be aware of exactly what activities they will do that particular day. So if it's not raining, we can play football, but if it rains, what should we do?
Watch a film.
Watch a film, okay. Some individuals might take a lot longer for them to process what I have said. So when you use language, it's to be kept quite short, simple words, short sentences, or use...
Okay, I'm stuttering. He's definitely got that down. My wife's really good about that. She doesn't go into a long tirade about hygiene and all this stuff. She's like, shower. Let's go take shower, or let's go take a shower, or what? It's just very quick. Or not quick. It's very few things to process. She wants to go take a shower. Okay, I can do that. It's not, she doesn't add a bunch of stuff about what we're doing tonight or later on or anything else. One thing at a time. And I know that sounds really silly and makes me sound really stupid, but it does help.
Use visual prompts to actually get your message across. And what's he got on his hands? What's he got on his hands?
Scarf.
On his hands?
Gloves.
Gloves. So,
It was a glove the first time he said it too.
Michael, the gloves keep his hands warm. Or vice versa, if they're actually trying to communicate something with you, you need lots of patience. Okay? Did you have fun?
What's that?
Did you have fun today?
What's the man's name?
Did you have fun?
No, the man.
Which man?
The film. Oh, that.
Oh, man on the video. Oh, okay.
Oh, you again, mate. No, that's you all morning and stuff.
Yeah, well done, Michael. That's excellent.
Not finished that yet.
Okay.
Emphasising the positives is another key technique.
Encouraging my...
Emphasizing the positives, and that actually goes into behavioral science, and that's positive reinforcement is what they're talking about in behavioral science. So they're trying to reinforce a behavior through praise, and maybe not.
Like, we're giving him lots of praise, makes him feel very good about himself.
With a PDA person, they can make it feel worse, because now it's like there's been this hoopla and stuff, and I just don't want to be seen. I want to be invisible. Leave me the fuck alone. Why are we screaming and yelling and making a big deal out of this? This is the exact opposite of what I want here. Thank you.
Kind of gives him a lot of self-belief, and he's willing to kind of try out different things. And also, you know, if something...
And I'm not saying positive reinforcement is a bad thing. I am just pointing out that it is part of behavioral science, and it is part of what has been adopted into ABA.
It doesn't always go right, or you find something a bit difficult, we'll probably adapt it a little bit to make it a little bit easier, so he always feels good about himself. And then try and progress with that and try and get him to do something which is a little bit more difficult, which takes a bit more concentration.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. I think you need to be able to function if you don't feel good. Be able to do it anyway and push on anyway. That's the hard part. But paving the way with gold so that every time you trip you end up with a handful of diamonds is not the way to really help someone necessarily. Sometimes you got to show them the rough things and show them that they can work through the roughest things. That's how boot camp saved my life, even though I hated it. It is horrible, but it did do a lot for me.
Okay, now... whatever face. Should I do like this?
Right.
What am I now?
Sad.
Sad.
I did.
Okay, you're excellent. Well done, Michael. You're doing really well. So if I'm sad, it's extremely important to kind of like empathise with our students and to try and see how they view the world from their perspective. A lot of common sort of anxieties we have amongst our students is the fact that they find it difficult to communicate their needs or to communicate what they actually want. The actual challenge is not just the behaviour, it's understanding why they're doing the behaviour. Because a particular challenging behaviour is still a way of them communicating something which they're upset about. So the fact that they're communicating is still kind of a positive thing.
Dominic is also very aware that many of his students find noisy or distracting environments distressing.
And so he's got a room full of people.
It's quite good to kind of use low arousal methods so they're able to gain more concentration or more awareness of what's going on in that particular environment.
So with me and ABA, it wasn't actual ABA back then. It was pre-ABA. It was definitely like the ABA that you hear of. It was just before it was formulated all together in, what, 67? And I think, what was it, 97, when it was made an official organization, or there was an official, oh, I can't remember what you call it, organization behind ABA. But they did all this stuff before. It was simply behavioral science, and that's definitely what they
like
did with me. And what they did here was they put him in a room with a bunch of people, while talking about not putting in a room with a bunch of people. When they put me in the special kid classes, because they didn't know how to describe me or put me there, but they put me in the special kid classes, and I would just start going through and acing everything, and just my work ethic. I would have like an entire quarter's worth of work done in 2.5 weeks in classroom, easily. And so they said I just wasn't applying myself and threw me back out in the classroom, and then I'd fail again. And it went back and forth like that. They did try to do some other ABA type therapy, stuff like that, and that was completely unsuccessful.
And talking to a particular individual at a time, not having too many voices, can help the student to actually understand what is expected of them, or to understand what is being said. We've also adapted like session rooms so they don't have too much clutter or too much information. They're kept very tidy at all times.
What colour starts with Y?
Where's your TV?
DVD player broke, didn't it?
Did it? So when are you getting a new one?
Back at the Squirrels, Emma's
When are you
priority
getting a
is to
new one?
ensure that, as an autistic person, Dan is provided with the appropriate services as he makes the transition to adulthood, and that links are made with all the key people involved in his care, including support worker Paul.
Is there any folders you'd
Ultimately, there's a settling down period. There are challenges faced by residential staff. So it's about listening to what they have to say and thinking about how you best open up the conversation a little bit more.
Well, I'm wondering what else is in Dan that we don't know that's there. Because the parents are...
Okay, so this kid is in a home of some sort. And that does happen just depending on different situations.
always very clear to advocate that he was capable of doing so much more than what was happening.
I mean, his level of understanding is really high. He knows exactly what you're saying to him and what you're asking of him.
It's about taking the knowledge that you know and then assessing what they're already done and then challenging the placement about how they're going to further develop it.
Oh, my darling! I've come to visit.
Or actually...
And I totally could not. I'm autistic, and I don't think I could go. I could not live in a house like that. I would not be helpful. I would be. I wish I could. I mean, hell, if my kids were born and they were like that, I probably would dealt with it. But, God, I cannot see myself doing that now. Oh hell no.
The most key person, of course, is the parents. So you're keeping them up to date. You're asking them what they felt about what comments people have made. Is there other ways that you think things could have been done better? What do you hope, and what's your hopes and future desires for their children?
God, they all look so English. Holy hell.
Transition planning needs to start early and be led by both the young
Australian. They kind of look Australian. They got that Australian look, kind of the same thing.
people and their families, so that real choices and opportunities for their future are delivered, whilst recognising that it's an anxious time and that decisions need to be very carefully considered to guarantee that the choices made are the right ones.
It's about keeping, their spirits up, that actually this is the best thing as far as Dan is concerned into adulthood. It is progressive, it is moving him forward.
No, Mum, that's nice. Did you say hello to
You try your best to have a good, honest and open relationship with the parents, and you have to feel that you can challenge in an appropriate way, because ultimately you're the advocate as the social worker, but you're looking at it from a different perspective.
I'll see you soon.
See you Mum another day.
Good boy. Good
Well
boy.
done.
Well done.
I have no idea what she's talking about there. All right, now this is not an autistic person, but I just got to watching this, and these people are just so, let's just watch it. It's terrible.
Two very special guests on the sofa this morning. 9-year-old Maya and her mum Lauren have had their lives completely transformed thanks to some amazing eye technology.
Yeah, they travelled to the US to receive treatment from a specialist in the field who has not only given Maya a very, very cool prosthetic eye, which you're going to see in just a minute, but also changed her life completely. And you're just absolutely buzzing to be in here today. We're delighted to have you both in.
Thank you so much.
We've had good fun this morning, haven't we?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And you noticed some of the crew dance in the ad breaks. Weirdos, right? Yeah, I know, a little bit weird. Thanks so much for coming
thank
in.
you for the invite. It's fantastic to be here.
Right, microphthalmia.
Yes.
That's the condition you have in your eye. Tell us about it.
So basically, it's classed as small eye syndrome. So her eye didn't.
Why is he talking to the mom? Why is the mom talking to him? I would have looked at my daughter and been like, go ahead. I don't care if he did talk to me. No way in hell would I talk to him.
Womb. I didn't find out until she was born, but since then she's had to have facial expanders to help her face grow at the same rate. We've had 24
She knows that that's happened. She can tell all about that.
surgeries.
24
surgeries? Skin grafts, fat grafts, granulomas. We've had infections. We've had failed appointments. Yeah.
And now, if Mom was adding to what she was saying, no, but she's just talking for her daughter, which is bullshit. There is no way in hell I would have done that. I would have never done that to my daughter. My daughter would have been pissed if I had done that. She's autistic too. You just let them talk. I mean, it's her place.
There's been quite a lot, but obviously I found the guy in America, and we went out, and it's completely transformed our lives.
But before you found the doctor in America,
Yes.
what was life like? How did Maya, navigate it from a
How did you navigate life, Maya?
day-to-day basis?
She was
She only had
absolutely
vision from one eye.
Yeah, so she's been blind since she was born. She wasn't meant to walk until, well, the advised, like 18 to 24 months. She smashed it at 8 months.
Do you know what? I'm not surprised. Meeting Maya, I'm just not surprised.
She's clumsy, don't get me wrong, but she can do anything that every other child can, which they told us that she might struggle with.
Of course you can. I mean, that sounds ableist in itself. I don't know. My aunt had polio. She had no use of her arms, and I never thought of her as handicapped. I mean, when I was like her age or whatever, I would think of my aunt just did shit differently. You know, that was it. The way these people are talking to her is just unbelievable. Even Mom's pretty ableist. And I don't think she's trying to be. She's trying to be a good mom, I think. We'll see.
So she smashed all the odds, and she's just absolutely amazing. Everything she applies to, she's out the water with it.
Maya, you walked into a whole room full of adults this morning to make...
Oh, you walked into a room full of adults. Now he's placing himself above her. It's a little... Oh, that would drive me nuts, too. And that would drive my daughter would go crazy with that, too. Oh, heck no, you don't do that.
And you're chatting to everyone. I mean, you called me Craig David quite a lot, which, you know, it kind of upset me a little bit, right? But you're great. We're delighted you're here. And you were telling me this morning about what it was like before.
Talking down to her. Oh,
you got your UI and what school was like. So tell us what that was like. It was tough, wasn't it?
Leading her. It was tough, wasn't it?
It was very tough. I got bullied quite a lot. I got called rude names. I got picked on a lot. I got, like, I wasn't.
So you got the answer he wanted out of her from leading that
People
question. Yeah, you had to lead that question. You got the answer he wanted.
Wouldn't really let me play with anyone.
Oh.
Well, they were missing out on a wonderful friend.
Lauren, that
okay,
must
so
have been...
that's on them. Look at you now. Wow.
That must have been
so patronizing.
really hard for you, Lauren.
It really was. It like just seeing her, because I think when she was younger, she didn't realise, obviously, the comments and everything that people would make. But when it's at home of how she was feeling, she then stopped going out. She didn't want to go to school. She was going in crying. She was coming home crying. So we arranged some counselling for her, and it was one of the best moves that I've ever done. And we've just kept going and going and going. And
They never thought of that patch or something?
now I've got my baby girl back.
Do you know, we meet a lot of brilliant young people who come in and have been through various operations, and coming out of school for all those operations, 24, and it hinders that development.
Yes, it does.
It's not just the physical side of things, all those little things. It makes life tricky, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it makes life tricky. Once again, trying to get her to
It
leave.
really was. She's just so upset, and she's the most outgoing, loveliest kid.
Yeah.
But now we've got my little girl back, haven't I? And we're happy, smiling, and like obviously we've been alive for 9 years, but we're now finally living, which is just fantastic.
Sometimes you've got to go through those rough bits to shape you as a person, and you have got some serious sass, Maya. Right?
You do.
Can you tell us about your new?
Oh, you've got some serious... Oh, I don't like it at all.
Why?
It, like, when you, like, when it's not in the light, I think it, like, the pupil goes smaller.
Right.
But when it's in the light, it goes bigger.
Yeah, so it's a trick of the eye.
That's cool.
So basically the pupil will dilate to the eye, which is obviously what we've gone over for, and you can't even tell.
I didn't.
No, you didn't know this morning.
I was thinking, is that Maya? Because I wouldn't have ever known.
Yeah.
Remember the game you made me play this morning? You made me play Guess the Eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, and I really had to guess. That's the thing. A lot of prosthetic eyes, they don't move, they're static.
Yeah.
Whereas your new eye behaves much like the
It
other
does,
one. Right?
yeah. So it's obviously moulded to the fat grafts that have been moved from her tummy into her eye, and it moves with. It's not in sync, but it's movement, and it's fantastic. So.
And he gave you some other eyes as well, didn't he?
Yeah, well, we've asked for a little special one for her.
You've had a few special upgrades, have you? Yeah. Would you be able to show us one of your eyes at all?
Okay.
Now, while Maya...
This is your garbage trash browser.
Wow.
And this is Opera GX. You see this difference? Opera is 100% customizable. You can even set how much RAM and CPU usage.
Shows us. Yeah. I'm going to ask you some questions about the doctor in America. Now, I know that you were searching and searching and searching, weren't you?
Yes.
For this treatment.
Yeah.
How did you find the doctor in America that has designed these brand new eyes?
So basically, I have scouted every artificial eye examiner
She's sitting there putting her eye in, I think, off camera.
in the UK, pretty much. I've got them on Instagram, I've got them on Facebook, I've got them on, obviously, all the reviews.
I think that was, she just put her eye snap at you could hear the snap of the box.
And I've just followed and followed for a few years. Here she is.
That is cool.
Oh, so cool.
That is cool.
Oh, my, and you did it so quickly. That's so cool.
Don't look at the
Oh, you look like a superhero.
Is that love heart?
It's a love heart with rainbow. And what else does it do?
It glows in the dark.
It glows in the dark.
Do you know how many 9-year-old boys out there at the moment are going, I love her. Wow.
So this is your TikTok. So you're a dancer. Cool. You do dance moves on TikTok.
And the eyes glowing, Jose, look.
Yeah. Nothing is stopping you, Maya. No. Nothing at all. And you're good at football as well. Very good at football. And you've got a favourite footballer. Who's your favourite footballer?
Jill Scott.
Wow. OK.
Yeah, we love a bit of Jill Scott.
You had to do a lot of fundraising to pay for this.
Yes,
it's not
I did,
cheap.
yeah.
Talk to us about that.
So basically, we raised the funds. So we had 3 eyes made. We had the bio.
Okay, this one was kind of interesting.
Autism in young men. I've received more messages like this than I could have ever imagined. So I decided to look a little deeper. Turns out that autism diagnosis is up 317% since 2000. And it's 4 times more likely in boys. And if you ask any woman, she will say men are more socially awkward than ever. Throw in 2 years of forced isolation, technology that made socializing obsolete during our childhood, and a dating world that operates on screens, and you...
Like, this gal has, like, no idea what the hell she's talking about. Like, none whatsoever, but she's telling us all about it.
Now have an entire generation that is not only going to be socially inept, but is also being labeled with a disorder that defines them that way at a rate never before seen.
That defines them as what? What are you trying to say? This guy, it's one of these nice, helpful girls here.
This is an aspect of the masculinity crisis that is...
A masculinity crisis? Because men are getting diagnosed as autistic. What about the women? Why aren't you talking about the fact that there is 3/4 of the people, well, probably more than that still, that are getting diagnosed are men? Why is that? Because there's nothing to indicate that autism is sexist. It's not misogynistic as far as we can tell. If you take 100 people and you get 1 autistic man, you're probably going to have 1 autistic woman. That's if everybody's getting diagnosed like they're supposed to, but that's not happening. And if that person happens to be a minority, then it's much less likely that they will be diagnosed. Also, if they're a minority female, forget it. No, it happens. It happens. Don't get me wrong, but it's very, very difficult. So, I mean, you're autistic, you're female, and you're black. Like, the doctors do not listen to you. I'm sorry. And if you're a black young man, say, in your teens, young or 20s, and you're autistic, you are the most likely to be unlifed by police officers of any other demographic out there. That's the worst thing you could possibly be, or the most likely target you could be, is a young black autistic man. That's the facts of life, and she doesn't realize this. He's calling it a masculinity crisis. Come on. Oh, my word. Where does this stuff come from?
Severely overlooked. And I'm not a trained professional, so I can't
No, you sure not.
prescribe any direct solutions to this problem. But
There's a problem that doesn't exist. No, I imagine you can't come up with any solutions for a problem that doesn't exist.
But I do have a platform that can get this conversation more exposure. And whether it's your stories, your struggles, or simply your opinions, let's start a discussion in the comments. So why is no one talking about the rate of autism?
So she just is talking about random nothingness for no reason. Okay, so this, I put in autism mom and this pops up. I have no idea what this is, but it's probably going to go bad. I just see it coming. It's going to go very, very bad. So here we go. Let's give this a try.
And Christian's already letting me know he wants some. But we can't have any, Christian. Maybe just a sip. But we can't have our own today. Okay? Christian got a haircut too. He's looking good. Every haircut, I say the same thing. Christian got a haircut and he looks good. I need to change it up. Sebby, I'll put Rachel on right now. This boy is obsessed with songs in the car and cries whenever there's no songs. You want Encanto or Rachel? Monkey? Okay. Just like I said, Christian Wood, he tried to take my drink. He's trying to tell me right now.
Okay, I actually really like this gal. I thought she was going to be off-putting. Maybe she will be, but we'll see. Because when it says autism mom rant, that's kind of scary.
You don't want a hug, you want a drink, but I already gave you one. We said one sip. That was it. Right?
Boy, she sounds like she's from Pueblo, too.
One tiny sip.
Like, this gal could definitely... this could be Pueblo, for sure.
Thank you for telling me, though, that you want a hug and a drink. A hug and a drink. So we got home, and I was trying to be a little sneaky and hide some vegetables I blended into his soup because he won't eat them. I think he knows. He's trying, but he's acting sus about it. At least he got a little something in there. You ready, Christian? He's got ABA in like 5 minutes, so he's gonna chill for a bit. Good morning. What are you gonna drink? Orange juice. Are you gonna eat?
I'm still waiting for the rant.
Oh, you want me to put it on?
Oh, no.
You need help? Help.
Okay.
Good morning, guys. So I have an important call at 8 a.m. and Christian woke up, right? But we're off to a rough start. And sometimes I feel like I need to be more prepared and organized for this life. Like, I wish I was the kind of mom that just had everything ready all the time, but I'm always rushing. There's always something to do. And then if I'm not rushing, I'm like on this like lag mode. Like, I need to get up and do this, but I have time, so let me just sit. So even now, when I should be doing something, I'd rather pick up the camera and just talk. It's like a procrastination type of thing. The thing about having Christian, giving him like a little bit of freedom, is that you have to make sure that everything is secure. Since we've been trying to monitor more of like what he eats and how much he eats, if it's not food, it's gonna.
And that's would go with any child. This is a weird concept that I see. Is this, well, if you've got an autistic kid, you've got to be all this. Look, if you have any kid, you keep the poisons away from them. You try to make the electrical outlets so they can't get to them. It doesn't matter if they're autistic or not. Come on, you got to be a parent.
Be something that's not edible. So apparently we forgot to lock the cabinet in the bathroom, and he likes to get into the lotion, and sometimes he'll try to mouth it, eat it or whatever.
And nothing against this gal or whatever, but whenever possible, try to have double or triple redundant like locks or whatever. Like maybe the bathroom door, maybe she could have a little kind of a catch lock on it, so that she can get in and out as she needs to or whatever, of course. But so that way he can't get through. But just a little quick thing that you could do so that it catches, and that way it makes it harder for them to get in there. But also lock them in there, so you have to, of course, pay attention to what you're doing.
Or so I go to his room and there's like stuff all over. I'm like, what the hell is that? And I look over here, and the lotion, as you can tell, has been messed with. So it's just, I just need 1 minute to do my chores in peace.
And see, she left that door open. In any case, if that door was shut, she might hear it open or whatever. It just might make it that much harder. I don't know how old this kid is.
Because the house needs to get cleaned, and I can't. So it is what it is. I just have to be more mindful of that. It sucks because if you leave one thing open, it can become chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I locked everything now. Just finished doing the dishes. My thing is, excuse the look.
You're like patrolling the house all day long, trying for potential dangers. Yeah.
But I try to make sure that the house is in order when he is having in-home services. And sometimes I just can't get it all done. I had dishes there that were dirty.
Okay, so see that TV? So their kid doesn't throw, but notice that there's not a table there, anything there either.
I feel bad that they were there dirty the whole time. But I made sure to sweep before she got here, so that's a plus. And I need to focus on doing something with Christian. I feel like recently, because he has so much going on, usually I put it in the back burner of doing some kind of like educational thing. But today he doesn't have speech or OT, so we have a few hours. I think today I want to talk to you guys about the stresses of being a parent to a kiddo with high needs.
Okay, so she uses the term kiddo, so that probably tells me that she's into ABA stuff. I could be wrong. Some people don't, but she doesn't. She doesn't seem like the whole autism mom type. She just doesn't strike me that way. She strikes me as a typical Pueblo person. I don't know where she's from, but she's my people.
Beginning of the year, and I think always in the beginning of the year, we tend to focus on what needs to change, new goals, what's going on, what's not working, what's working. And I feel like Hugo and I have been feeling like his ABA team has been struggling a bit. And honestly, that's lack of supervision from their BCBA, and that's not to be in a mean way. And I think that's why I've been stressing so much, because I like his whole team. You want to say hi? Hi. You grumpy butt.
Yeah, what did I say? The end of ABA. That's too bad.
What do you need?
No.
There's a place right down the street from me. I mean, I could literally walk there if I wanted. Might take me about an hour, but yeah, it's a pretty big one too. I've really thought about going out there and touring their facility because I'm so curious about it.
What's wrong?
No.
No what?
No.
You don't like what?
No.
To the TV?
See, in that bathroom, if that door, she could have shut. And also there's over the handle things that make it hard, that you have to put a certain amount of tension in order to turn the door handle, and that would keep him out. And also, I mean, you try to teach him not to do that, obviously, but you can't rely on that because you don't know what's going on in his head.
I'm gonna change it? Change it?
I think she's a good mama, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll change it right now. Give me a second, okay? I think I find it hard to like say anything because I like his team. I like them as people, and I think overall they do well. It's just when somebody doesn't give him enough support because they're so busy, no matter what, that's not your child's fault, and they know that. But you still have to voice it.
So she's very, very, I've talked about this before, being very, very dependent upon ABA. Now she's talking about being dependent on the team, and now, for whatever reason, whatever's going on, she's having difficulties, and that's understandable. And she has become dependent on that team, and that's why it is a cult.
But like, I get anxious voicing it. Like, I'm like, what do I say? I don't want to be mean. I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
See there, and then that's another thing, is that's the play on guilt or whatever. Yeah, it's absolute truth, and that's another cult thing. She doesn't want to be frowned upon or looked down on by those people.
But like, something's not working, and we all know that Christian has had a lot of changes to his diet, to his mouth, to like his team. We lost RBT, and it's a lot of changes, right? So all of this contributes to that, but at the end of the day, he needs the support of the main person, the BCBA, right? So I just got off the phone with him and I voiced my concerns, and he was really nice, and he was like, yeah, we're probably going to transition to another BCBA, which I don't like, but whatever. At the end of the day, whoever can give him the support that he needs, which is like once a week, come out here, supervise the RBT, give me parent training. Because even though I work in this field, I always say, like, I still need guidance too, you know. I'm just a therapist, and for Christian, I'm just a mom. So nobody leave. I have, you know, questions and how to run things and what am I doing wrong. So
at least her mind, she's got her mind open. She doesn't think she knows it all, which means no matter what, she was an amazing mom. She got her figured out one way or another.
I would like the support.
I don't know how old this is. I think it might be actually fairly current
too. So I just feel like I had this like anxious pit in my stomach of like, what do I say? I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But
yeah, 3 weeks ago. Yeah, so yeah, she's on her way. She's doing good.
But I ended up doing it. I didn't get it. I hope I didn't get anybody in trouble. But I told them that he needs more structure. He needs, because the behaviors are
good for you, Mom. Now she's using the term behaviors
increasing, you know, and we want to see a decrease. So he's banging on TVs like hard. He's banging on the table. He's banging on the walls, and that's like a new behavior. When he bites himself, they say that it's like super like intense versus it's not as much, but it's intense, more intense.
And see, the thing is they're not teaching her. If they had taught her what she needed to know, then this would not be an issue by any means. She would know. Obviously, something is going on right now with him. Obviously, he's had change and he's not seeing his therapist or whatever. But for like going around hitting TVs or whatever, I remember that I said that TV was elevated and there wasn't a table near there. There's a reason for that. But so what she hasn't figured out is what stems can she give him? Because he's acting out and so forth. I used to, but what stems does she give him? What can he do? What does he have to play with? My mom one time tried to get me a punching bag, which was probably a great idea. Just because I could have taken my energy out on it. It didn't matter, you know, about being tough or fighting or anything else. It was just something to take my energy out on. So I don't know. And I don't know his solution either, but instead of teaching her, they made her dependent upon them. And that's a big problem. Ideally, if anyone is helping any parent with an autistic child, and I'm not saying that I could do this or I'm the best or anything else, but ideally, what you're going to do is empower that parent, and you're going to empower that autistic child. First of all, you're going to empower that autistic child to help themselves. You're going to teach the parent how to help themselves, and teach the parent how to teach the kid to help themselves. And with that, it is identifying needs and so forth. As autistic people, we don't necessarily know our needs. We may have to have other people help us. My wife does all the time with me. Things that I just don't realize that I need, and I do. And so she'll help me identify that. Maybe I'm need to eat, and I don't realize it. Something that simple. Could be something much more important.
And I don't want that. And it does have to do, especially with the diet change. He can't be in the kitchen. He can't be snacking all day, right? So yeah, I ended up having that talk, and I feel like it went well. Hopefully we get more structure. And I don't mean like just table work. He just needs more productive things to do instead of like roaming the house only.
Howdy, Lynn.
But sometimes, yeah, we get stuck in this rut of like nothing's changing, or what am I doing wrong, or what's going on with his team, or what new therapy is needed. And even the cycle of like, I'm not doing enough. Like today, I didn't do any homeschooling because I had to deal with other things, you know, and I did do certain things, right? But not everything that I wanted. And now it feels like I'm a failure. But I know I'm not a failure. It's just, it gets in my head sometimes. Like, you're not doing enough. What are you doing? It's all right. Tomorrow's a new day. I gotta go pick up Haiti from my mom's. I'm always in the car and I hate it. All right, guys. Thanks for watching this little rant of a mom that is stressed.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of sad. That definitely does highlight how dependent people can become on ABA, and that's really, really sad. Really, really sad. All right, I'm gonna take a look at this one. What was this? Oh, I just put in autism and experts just to see what would pop up, and this popped up. So I have no idea what this is. I'm just figuring out what to do with it. We'll see what it is.
Well, there's been a lot of...
It's just when people start talking about experts or professionals in autism, usually it's people that aren't.
Work done trying to figure out how common autism really is. The most recent figures coming out from the Center for Disease Control in the U.S. suggests about 1 in 88, with slightly higher numbers in boys and slightly lower in girls.
Okay, so this is 2013, 2023. Gosh, I don't know what the statistics are now. It's like 1 in 53 or 59 or something. We know that girls are diagnosed less than men because basically the whole damn diagnostic system is misogynist and sexist. So it's probably half and half. If we got down to brass tacks, that's probably what it is.
You know, I think early detection is important for a number of reasons. Even though parents are picking up on these first signs, you know, almost invariably.
Early detection is so important. Now, let's see where he goes. Let's see if he's able to get his way out of eugenics on this one.
By the second birthday, the average age of diagnosis remains around the age of 4. So there's a really significant gap.
And he doesn't say anything why that was important.
If everybody recognizes those signs and starts to intervene, our hope would be that a significant percentage of those children would not go on to have a full diagnosis of autism.
Wow. Wow. We're going to teach them to mask so they don't get a autism diagnosis. That is what she just said. I cannot believe I just heard that. Wow.
Or of any autism spectrum disorder. We don't know yet what those numbers will be, and it may well be that the best we can do so far is at least a change to a less severe category for a very significant percentage.
And that's for masking. She's talking about categorizing people at a lesser degree of being disabled. And the thing is you're still autistic either way. If you only have 2 arms, you have 2 arms. You don't have 3 arms. No matter how you look at it, you don't have 3 arms. You only have 2. And it's kind of like that way. It makes 0 sense.
What those numbers will be, and it may well be that the best we can do so far is at least a change to a less severe category for a a very significant percentage.
So we just don't diagnose the people that need it. If we're successful, we don't diagnose the people that need it. It doesn't change how severe their autism is. It changes the category and how they look at it.
The other problem is that once you've had it,
the problem is you're speaking for us, and you shouldn't be. You should keep your damn mouth shut.
a diagnosis given, there's often a long wait, in some areas from 2 to 4 years before you get any really intensive intervention. The next question is, while you wait, if it's 2 years to wait for the provincial program, what kind of insurance policies do you have? What kind of money do you have kind of available that you could spend on private therapy? So unfortunately right now, in that waiting game particularly, we have a 2-tiered system. And the more disadvantaged you are, the more disadvantaged you will become and your child will become.
What the fuck is she talking about?
We're seeing that the only difference between an individual spending the rest of their life drugged up in a group home living off welfare, or that same person having a happy and successful life, the only difference between those two things is simply the net worth of their parents.
So obviously the intervention has to be incorporated into community centers, daycare centers, junior and senior kindergarten, and all the way through the education system. So what we need is an integrated service system that will meet the need of the child once the need is identified, and we don't have that kind of integrated.
But she doesn't want to identify everybody. That's what she just said. She didn't want to identify everybody. That was her big goal in life.
It's system of care, the way we would have, say, for, in many areas, childhood diabetes or childhood cancers. Once you get a diagnosis of autism, it's not very likely to go away.
It's not likely to go away. I don't even know what to say to that. That is so ableist. That is so horrible. That's like, I don't even know what to say. I have no idea. That is so ableist. That is so horrible.
And it may get better, but it doesn't usually go away.
It can't go away if you have it. Unless you were improperly diagnosed, which you shouldn't be. I mean, if a doctor is if you get diagnosed with autism and you're not autistic, then that doctor better be called into question big time. Big time. Like, they need to lose their medical license, because you can't just undo your life. You can't. It's like not being able to tell a human from a dog. I mean, if they can't differentiate the two, they don't need to be, trying to make those choices. Wow.
And depending on different stages of changes in their environment, changes in their development, crises will keep coming up, and parents need somewhere to go back to.
I think
back to? What are you talking about?
The other major challenge that's yet to be addressed is what do we do beyond the preschool period or even the school age years? I mean, how do we support adolescents and adults with autism to help them, help them reach their potential and lead fulfilling lives?
You don't know? Is that what you're saying? You don't know? Teach us to learn how we learn, and teach us how to research, and that's it. That's really once we can read, learn how we learn, and can research, we can do anything we need.
Hypothetically, if you were to have 2 identical kids with autism,
on the preschool period or even the school age years, I mean, how do we support adolescents and adults with?
But you do it just like you do with any other person. You go with their strengths, and you empower them to do what they can, and you help them to do whatever it is that they want to. That's all you have to do.
with autism to help them, help them reach their potential and lead fulfilling lives.
Fuck you. What, we're not going to live fulfilling lives without you? Huh? Huh? That was very ableist.
Hypothetically, if you were to have two...
He's like the kid from, fucking Eddie Haskell? No, not Eddie Haskell. God dang, what was that kid in, Doogie Howser, his little Italian friend? This is him.
Two identical kids with autism. The difference between one of them spiraling downwards into stress, depression, emotional trauma, and living for the rest of their life in an
He could do a little, like an Eddie Munster, though, too.
institute, and
I mean, white makeup. Look at that. Oh, yeah. Oh, perfect.
between the other identical kid becoming incredibly successful, having great social relationships, and potentially even having a great career in the future.
Was it Eddie Munster, the kid?
The main difference between those two things is the skill of that child's advocate.
You know, ironically, often the parents who are most capable of searching.
I think that guy's kind of right. We are limited by our resources. If we have extraordinary resources, we are capable of doing extraordinary things. If it was today and I had the right resources, I could have easily gone through, like if I was born over or whatever and had the right resources, everybody knew I was autistic, I could have easily become a professor or whatever. But we weren't even identified back then, so that wasn't really possible.
Out the services and getting the money to purchase the services themselves are the ones that will access somebody who will work as case manager, and the people that are less good at advocating will miss out on both having a case manager situation and in getting to the services that would really help their child. And if you don't speak English and you have other cultural differences, it's even harder.
And you know what? If you don't speak autistic, it's even harder. And she didn't even mention that. If you're a neurotypical person trying to help an autistic person, neurotypicals always have this preconceived notion that they're better or smarter or whatever else than autistic people. I know they learn different eventually. But some people like Simon Barrett and Cohen, who's never been in contact with an autistic person, he'll never know.
The school system was obviously not designed for somebody with an ASD spectrum disorder to navigate their way through.
It wasn't for me in the 70s either, or the 80s.
Designed for neurotypicals, people who don't have communication disorders. I think one of the main factors that can influence a downward spiral is stress. Having to go through the stress of navigating through a very unhospitable school environment will cause a lot of stress. And when it gets to a certain point, that stress can become completely incapacitating and can cause the individual to shut down completely.
That definitely happened to me all throughout school. They could never figure it out. They always called it depression. And it wasn't depression. It was basically autistic burnout because of the stressors that were put on me in school through the bullying, mostly the bullying of the grown-ups. The adults, the faculty members that facilitated and allowed the bullying were far worse than the bullies themselves.
It's terribly important to choose the right environment, to have the right supports in place. And for many parents, particularly parents that are coming from a more disadvantaged perspective, it's almost an impossible task to be able to go in and talk to a school team that can sometimes be intimidating, and really try to advocate for what they are aware their child needs. Other parents don't even know what to ask for, and so they're totally at the mercy of the system, and that can be wonderful or it can be terrible.
The Canadian Charter of Human Rights and Freedoms even specifies that according to law, every single Canadian citizen has access to equal rights, including people
has he access to equal rights
with disabilities.
Hey, he was stuttering, I stutter, I don't care. That was funny.
Autism is a disability, ASD spectrum disorders are a disability, and that's why we require the accommodations that we do. That's what we need to be able to succeed the same way that other students are able to without these accommodations. It's simply leveling the playing field and bringing us to a place where we can try and enjoy the same success that other people who do not have ASD are.
I think we have a huge problem in terms of understanding effective transition from high school, whether it's into postgraduate education or whether it's directly into vocational placements. We have not had a focus on it. We don't have any service that's committed to it. The developmental services don't take on the children who may have a few splinter skills that are up into the average range. Many people don't understand the unique environments for learning or for vocations that many of our children, whether they're high-functioning Asperger's or autism spectrum disorder.
Oh my goodness. When is this? Okay, 2013. Okay, she can say Asperger's because it did exist then. It wasn't until DSM-5 came out in 2014. This is a year later. That they got rid of.
They're all going to be in that one term.
Asperger's.
We just don't know what works for so many of them. I think we're at a time where we're starting to focus on it, but we really need a service system that's focusing on it so that appropriate choices can be made. Because if you have a bad vocational experience, it's much harder to go to your next one. The other big piece that's missing for the transition to adulthood is any kind of medical care, because many children and adults with autism have severe ongoing sleep problems, they have severe ongoing anxiety problems, at least a half have mental health problems, and it's very, very difficult.
Okay, so she is right here. Autistic people, no matter what, not only is there always comorbidities, but pretty much if you've been issued autism, you've been issued depression, you've been issued TikTok's trying to kick me off. Anyway, they try to I just totally lost my train of thought. Go for it.
Difficult to access those services, and most physicians, because it's really family physicians that carry the ball in terms of medical care, have not been trained about the unique problems in autism.
And now she's talking in Canada. This is 2013. It's still the same there today, and it's still the same here today.
Gastrointestinal problems, irritable bowel, gastrointestinal reflux. So
that's what I was going to say. We always have comorbidities, but we also have psychological comorbidities with that too, and that's just how it is.
Many of the food sensitivities and things that cause so much grief on a day-to-day basis are not understood by a large part of the medical community, therefore comfortable to take adults on into their practice. There are costs at many levels if you're not giving the adult supports. Many parents who manage to hold down 2 jobs to pay for services.
Yeah, see, she's yes, it can be very expensive.
The children were growing up are now finding that because they're young adult, cannot find an appropriate community place to work and feel good about themselves in, because that young adult then has to stay at home. One or other parent at that point in life, when they should be feeling perhaps a bit more financially stable, has to give up a job, and so the family has to keep going on one income. So that has ramifications in terms of the workforce, in terms of the quality of life for families, the financial health of families, the fact that it's very stressful to have an adult just sitting around home not doing anything, and all the interactions that come from that. So there are many costs for society for that lack of appropriate planning. There are huge gaps in the adult service system, and many people by default are either just sitting at home or particularly if they have difficult behavior or explosive behavior, going into some kind of long-term care institutions, many times not in any way the appropriate setting.
The ASD community makes up a very large piece of a population, and it's a growing piece of a population. If we fail to accommodate this very large demographic, we're going to find ourselves with a very eroded workforce, with a very high number of people living off of social welfare or in assisted group homes.
I think there's tremendous human capital among the community of people with autism. I think we hear stories every day about sort of the contributions
this is so patronizing.
That people with autism can make. And I think sometimes sort of people point to particularly exceptional or high functioning individuals with autism, but really individuals across the spectrum can really contribute. They can contribute to the workforce, they contribute to the social lives of their extended communities. But it's not only about human capital or return on investment. I think it ultimately becomes an issue of dignity and social justice. And as members of society, people of autism deserve to find their ways in the world and to have the experience of contributing to.
Wow, thank you.
To have that sense of pride.
Yeah, that sense of pride that I can actually contribute to society. Now, what he's talking about is he's talking about the basically the hierarchy of production, and we are judged in this world by our productivity. And he's like, well, yeah, we can bring your productivity up so you have value in life. That's literally what he's talking about here. I mean, it's bad.
But it's not only about human capital or return on investment. I think it ultimately becomes an issue of dignity and social justice. And as members of society, people of autism deserve to find their ways in the world and to have the experience of contributing, to have that sense of pride in participating in the workforce.
That's right where he went. Right where he went. Productivity.
To have opportunities to further their education and ultimately live independent lives, with the supports that they need.
One of the most important steps that society can take to begin fixing this very fractured system of support is to try and streamline the system across all different levels. It's very difficult to get the support you need right now in our fractured system.
I think that we really need to get all the people who have expertise in autism and are involved in the autism service system to be working together. So,
did you hear that? Who did she not mention? Who is she not going to mention? The autistic community. Watch. All the experts, not autistic people, but experts.
Get all the people who have expertise in autism and are involved in the autism service system to be working together so that we...
Expertise in autism? No, she's not talking about autistic people there. No, she's talking about this, what do you call it? Academics.
We really work toward an integrated network of care that families can access right from the time of diagnosis right through adulthood. I think that would really be more likely to happen if we had a national autism agenda, so that we've had many meetings at a federal level and
the thing is if it's all jack jaws like that, that's going to be a real problem. If it's not autistic people.
Interprovincial meetings talking about the needs for the autism community, but I think we need federal.
And this is just exactly how the Americans talk to. It's the same BS. I'm sure the Brits do the same.
And provincial.
And the Aussies. Sorry, love you guys too, but it's all the same BS.
Support, that there should be an integrated continuum of care and services. If we had that, then I think we could really look at how could we integrate the current services in a more effective way. with cost sharing and really see if we could do a far better job, even if there weren't a lot of extra resources.
I think that's like
added,
social
although there certainly is money
medicine,
that's
maybe.
needed very specifically at certain times.
I don't know what Canadian cost sharing is. I'm sure it's okay. Okay, autism. Oh, we're just gonna do autism and see what autism, and we're gonna see what came up though this week. Lesser known autistic traits. That kind of looks interesting. Autism and sexuality. Okay, that's got to be fun. I always like that. Okay, this is...
Today we're talking about autism and sexuality. Let's talk about sex, baby. Okay, sorry. Anyways, this is a big, important topic to cover, and I'm thinking I'm going to make it a series. This is going to be kind of a general overview of autism and sexuality. And then I'm thinking part 2 will probably be a definition of helpful terms for gender identity and sexual identity, for better understanding those. And then I think part 3 is going to be helpful
I'm not doing anything off camera.
tips for navigating sexual experiences as an autistic person. So lots of things will be said during this video. I'm not sure what the algorithm is going to do to me, but I'm not scared. And I hope that if you find this video, it is helpful to you. Now, before we jump in today, I want to make sure you know about my brand new resource called How to Unstuckify Your Life. If you are feeling stuck navigating autistic challenges, maybe you're just now becoming aware of challenges that you face as a late diagnosed autistic person, which is a significant portion of the community here you'll find at Mom on the Spectrum. I'm here to help guide you, and I've created a guide using all of the expertise that I've gained over the past few years as I've learned about my own place on the autism spectrum as a mom of 2. I was diagnosed at age 31, and my ADHD brain is like not letting me talk linearly to you right now. So anyways,
I think that was like
I'm
3 years ago,
now,
about the time I was...
have taken everything.
I think she was diagnosed about 3 years ago, about the same time I was. Maybe 5, I'm not sure.
Everything I've learned over the past few years and put them in a 4-step process to help you unstuckify your life.
Said few, so maybe that's 3.
And you can even use it for sexual challenges related to what we're going to talk about in this video. So if you're interested in checking that out, it is a downloadable guide, and I will put the link in the description for you. Also, if you're new here, make sure that you like this video if it's helpful to you, and subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date with all of the latest resources. That being said, let's jump in. So my first initial disclaimer here is going to be there is no shame in talking about sex, and I'm here to talk about it with you. I'm not scared to talk about it. Sex is a natural norm.
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. With my kids, actually it's kind of strange because we never do really talk about sex, so to speak. It was more in the excuse me. More in the respect of, I think, like we needed the chickens to breed so that they could make chicks. My daughter bred her first mare at probably, I think she was about 5, and when I say she bred her mare, she actually held the lead, and yeah, it was pretty crazy. She knew what she was doing, and it was okay. I mean, it was supervised, but there's always accidents that can happen. Anyway, nonetheless, it all went well. We tried not to put our kids in too much danger, but we also let them live life. Anyway, I've totally lost track of my thought. Oh, anyway, so as far as sex was concerned, it was something they learned on the farm. They knew where that stuff came from or whatever, and so we would casually, I don't know what that word was, we would casually talk about sex. And as it was, it was, you know, what animals we were breeding, or what animals needed to be bred, or what animals had been bred, or whatever. So, when it came to sex and human beings, it just was like kind of the same thing. I mean, I know they knew it was different, and I didn't get into a bunch of details or anything was as far as like sexual things that humans do specifically for pleasure or anything else. It didn't need to be talked about. I mean, we did talk about it if it came up. Just whatever.
Normal.
Never made a big deal out of it, is what I'm saying. Is a normal human being, natural freaking thing, just like horses breeding.
Human experience. It's a beautiful part of life, and it can also be a very challenging part of life, especially for autistic people. So there's no shame in talking about it.
And it can also be a lot more challenging for women, and also depending on your history. If you've been SA'd in any kind of way, that can make a big difference too. But hopefully everything goes on just normally and healthy, and everybody's informed and there's absolute consent and blah, blah, blah.
There's no shame in wherever you might find yourself today as you relate to the issues that we're going to talk about. So I want to encourage you to take a deep breath with me. We'll go ahead and do it together. And then we're just going to sigh out any shame or feel weird feelings, okay? You're welcome to show up however you are today. So we're here in this together. Okay. First of all, I'm going to read something that
and we'll all go down together.
I just found on spectrumnews.org, which is an awesome website.
That is a very awesome website.
And I will put a link to this in the description as well. Gender identity and sexuality are more varied among autistic people than in the general population, and autism is more common among people who do not identify as their assigned sex than it is in the population at large, 3 to 6 times as common. Super interesting. Also, I want to share this statistic. Only 30% of autistic people in a 2018 study identified as heterosexual, compared with 70% of neurotypical participants. That is a big statistic.
That's huge. Only 30%? Holy hell. I want to hear that again.
Only 30% of autistic people in a 2018 study identified as heterosexual.
Only 30% identified as heterosexual. Holy crap. Only a third of us, less than a third, actually identified as heterosexual. Wow. That must, I mean, because I'm queer, so that must mean I'm autistic. Yeah, that's crazy. I actually thought I was heterosexual just because that's what I was told. And I didn't care, like, you know, but found out in later life that, okay, I just like people.
Compared with 70% of neurotypical participants. That is a big statistic.
That's a huge difference. 30% compared to 70%? Like most, only 30% of neurotypicals don't identify as heterosexual. That's crazy. It's a flip-flop.
And although half of 247 autistic women in a 2020 study identified as cisgender, just 8% reported being exclusively heterosexual. Okay, so hopefully you can see through this, there's a lot of varied experiences of sexuality.
That is interesting.
And heterosexuality does not appear to be the norm for the neurodivergent population, especially the autistic population.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not the norm. Absolutely freaking not. Yeah, we are way more sexually diverse than neurotypicals. And that is normal for us. That's what you should expect of an autistic person, is that we're going to be very, well, neurodivergent and sexually more aware, more apt to be a little different.
So maybe you found yourself wanting to have more varied experiences of sexuality and you find yourself having different tastes and preferences than others. I'm here to tell you that you know, welcome to the autistic community. You're in good company here. One important component of sexuality that's really important to cover as an autistic person is sensory overwhelm. So we tend to get easily overwhelmed by...
Okay, I have a hard time looking at people's eyes, but holy hell! Like I can watch this video all day long. Look at those freaking eyes. Those are her eyes too. It's pretty amazing. Got that my dad had it, the what do you call it? Ice blue. And my aunt had the opposite, which was the very, very, very dark emerald, I guess, type blue. Is it emerald? Very, very dark. Very, 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 very dark blue.
Information we take in through the senses. Obviously, sex is a very engaging activity. It engages all of our senses, and that can be very challenging for autistic people depending on the day, depending on the season of life we're in. And so things like one almost universal experience, it's never 100% in our community, but a very common experience in our population is that we do not like light touch. Like if somebody barely...
Hey, I have long sleeves on. And I wear pants. Actually, like sweats or it could, I don't even care. It could be tights. I don't give a crap. Whatever, so my skin is not exposed. I don't wear tights. I used to wear spandex when I was young, though. Anyway, anything so that my skin is not directly exposed to the air. And also, if somebody touches it, doesn't hurt as much either. But if I just have exposed skin and somebody brushes like that, or... Oh, fuck that. Sorry, I didn't... supposed to be not cursing on this.
Really touches your skin or grazes past you, it is very upsetting for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
So you might find that like a deeper, firmer pressure on your skin actually feels more regulating.
And that's why I love a good autistic hug, which is one of those... I like to... My uncle actually described a perfect hug as a booby masher, and I think that would be... Well, no, actually he said put their boobs through your back. I call it a booby masher.
Not even just in a sexual way, but like in a regulating way. Sometimes deep, intense pressure can feel really good to autistic people.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's something you could
just like that deep hug, just like a good, and I really mean a bear hug, like a really good firm hug, and it doesn't have to be in solid, not too quick to pull away. Like hug, get in there, and then let go, but don't. You don't like try to jump start it or something. Give the hug, and let go. Don't jump in and jump out. Just give me a nice hug, and then let go. But give me that pressure. Yeah, give it deep and let me feel it, and at least for a second or half a second, just let it, feel it. Feel that nice pressure, and then, yeah, but not, I hate this. What the hell was that? Get away from me.
Your sexual experiences and kind of play around with that and see if that's something that might feel better. Also, our experience of...
And also, yes, well, I don't know if she's going to talk about sensory play, but with adult sensory play and so forth, absolutely amazing. I think in some ways, like, I get goosebumps all over my body no matter what, when I have an orgasm or just touching me. Again, my skin's really sensitive, but I get goosebumps for about anything. And but that can kind of be part of play for me, just because that's how my body works. But for other people, there might be other sensory things that they could do, warm, cold, whatever. There's all kinds of different pressures, ways to touch, or and so forth. Or even you can even put something on over something and then do pressure, like this, because I'm not touching the skin directly. And then you can actually, once you do that, you can actually start touching the skin, and it's okay. But you've worked your way up by having that little barrier. And just like, if you ever see a vet, they'll pat a horse and then rub it out and then stick, and it's because they don't feel it. They just it helps them with the sensory. And I think what she's going to talk about is the sensory thing. And as many neurodivergent, particularly autistic people have let me know, definitely adult sensory play or whatever is definitely a very good thing for some autistic people. It may not be for others.
Sensory overwhelm is going to vary from day to day as an autistic person. So maybe if you're...
And sometimes you do want that sensory overwhelm if you're with adult sensory play, and that's what you're going for. But it's controlled, and you know what's going on, and so forth. So it can be really awesome.
If you're familiar with spoon theory, this is just a way to communicate how much energy and resources we have available on a given day. So if you're feeling like you have a lot of spoons one day, you had a lot of sleep, and you're well rested, and work's going well, and the kids aren't fighting, you might have more energy, and you might feel more open to a sexual experience. You might have less sensory overwhelm that day, and it might feel better to you.
Or you might want more. And see, a lot of people are not only are we sensory avoiding, but we're also sensory seeking. And a lot of people with ADHD that aren't necessarily autistic also will be very, very sensory seeking, and often that comes out through sex, but it can come out through other things too. They may be athletes or whatever else. It doesn't exclusively have to go that way. It's just like any other STEM. It can change, and you can find better ones or whatever. Maybe sex is the best one. Maybe you just want to because you're an adult when you enjoy your partner or partners, and it's all consensual, and that's what everybody wants to do. That's great. Do it. You know? There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with being who you are and what you are. Absolutely not.
But you might have a really stressful day, you know, a series of sleepless nights, and work is stressful and the kids are fighting.
Meet Matterport, the market.
And then we get an ad.
And
okay.
This can heighten our sensory overwhelm, right? We have fewer spoons to help us manage our day, and this can make sensory overwhelm especially triggering. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you're the partner of a neurodivergent person. If they've had a
I'm sitting here bouncing in my chair, my legs. I'm sitting there like cross-legged, and sitting there bouncing my legs as a stem for some reason.
Stressful day, physical touch might be the very last thing that they're wanting. And again, these are generalizations. Not all of us have these experiences, but it can be confusing for the partner, but I mean also as for the individual to understand, why are my sexual needs changing so much from day to day? And I would bet as an autistic person, it has a lot to do with your nervous system regulation, with the amount of sensory overwhelm that you've experienced that day, and probably the amount of rest that you've been able to incorporate into your life. Also, within the autistic community, there are so many different experiences of sexual interest. So on one far side of the spectrum, we would have asexuality, which is not feeling sexual attraction to anyone. And on the other side of
and that's a very narrow definition. A lot of asexual people will say that they have occasionally been attracted in some ways, but in some ways not, and it's very differing. So there is a whole kind of a, I guess, spectrum within that. I'm no expert on that. I'm not one to speak on it. I just want to put out there that I know that it does exist for those people, and those people would be the ones to talk about that.
The spectrum would be hypersexuality, where you're fixated on sexual experiences and maybe to the point of obsession. Okay, so in between, there are plenty of other experiences.
Probably a lot closer to that one, but not that far.
And that's where part 2 is going to come in. We're going to talk about gray sexual, asexual, demisexual, heterosexual, hypersexual, hyposexual. I'll throw a bunch of terms at you that might help you further understand your experiences, okay? But just know for now, you can oscillate back and forth between different sexual preferences and experiences, and that really just means you're a human. I mean, a lot of people tend to find themselves more in one camp than the other, but that doesn't mean like that you can't experience different iterations of that throughout your life. Again, probably based on the
and that's true. Absolutely true.
chapter of your life and how stressful it's been, what you're open to, what you're not open to.
Yeah, it just depends on what's going on.
To at the moment. So part of this is just like welcome to being human, right? Like we change and evolve and grow over time. So creating space for ourselves within that framework is really important. Allow yourself to grow and evolve and change and have different needs on different days. And honestly, I know that can be frustrating for a partner, but it can also keep your sex life vibrant. You know, it can also keep you checking in and realizing that, you know, let's not keep this the same all the time. Let's talk about where we're at and figure out what might feel better today than it did yesterday. Two more things I want to talk about. One is that sex can be very regulating. I may have mentioned this already, but let's talk about it a little bit more. So whenever you have sex with another person, there's this co-regulation that happens, right? So you're sharing space with another person, and whenever we are close to another person, our breathing patterns change, our heartbeat can change and vary whenever we're having sex with another person. Okay, we kind of co-regulate with each other, and it can be a very kind of balancing experience. So for some of us, when we get overwhelmed, it might actually be really therapeutic and regulating to have sex with someone, with your partner, with someone you trust and care about, who's going to meet you where you're at, right, in the way that feels good to you. But sex can be a very regulating experience when you are feeling particularly stressed. Now, again, there's so many caveats here when we're talking about neurodivergence. Some people, when they're stressed, they're not going to want to be touched at all. So if you are in a partnership, this is a great thing to talk about. You know, what are your preferences? How can your partner show you support? What type of touch feels good to you? And just let yourself be open to exploring that. Stay curious. Anytime, you'll hear me say, anytime that judgment creeps in, see if you can flip that to a spirit of curiosity. If you're feeling judgmental towards yourself, how can I become more curious about why I feel the way that I feel, or why I want the things that I want? Okay, stay curious and open as much as possible. Along with that, it's kind of bringing up another topic. I knew this is just our first foray into autism and sexuality on Mom on the Spectrum, and I have a lot to say. So in this act of regulating, like using or enjoying sex as kind of a regulating experience,
that can go for neurotypical people too. It's not necessarily just autistic people.
I think for some of us it can be difficult because we've lost a lot of self-confidence along the way, probably due to being late diagnosed and not knowing that we're autistic. We've masked a lot. We might not really know what we want. We might not really know what we need. And we've probably done this in the bedroom as well. We've probably masked to give our partner what we thought they needed. And you might find yourself wondering like, oh, what do I even want? What do I need? And that, I guess, will lead me to the last point that I wanted to make, is talking about masturbation. Masturbation also, there's no shame in this, and this tends to be more common for people on the spectrum because actually, spoiler alert, this can be a way to stim. Okay, so we've talked about stimming on the channel. Stimming is any physical activity that helps you move pent up excess energy outside of the body. Hello, masturbation, check, that fits that box.
As soon as I've discovered autism, I mean, as soon as I guess masturbation or even sex came up, I immediately recognized it as a stim. And it can be, for sure, absolutely. And it can be a great one. I mean, it's just one of those things.
Box, right? So some of you have been, courageous and bold and shared experiences within the community where you feel more hypersexual in that regard, to where you notice that you stim through masturbation and wonder if there's something wrong with you. So just know, if you resonate with that there are many others in the autistic community who stem through masturbation. Masturbation is a healthy way to explore what you want and what you like sexually. So
all right, I'm going to close this one out. And I'm going to start up another one here in a little bit. Hasta la vista.